We are pleased to begin. We are the Lemurian Collective, the Lemurian Ascension Collective of Ninth Dimension, and we are ones who come in support and peace. We are those that are stepping forward now in a time to assist the human consciousness with a transition that you are walking that is directly related to the way in which your structures are forming. And this is the important message that we wish to bring in to help you understand the meaning of this structure, not in words or terms that are unrelatable to you, but in ways that you can understand you are operating within a new structural field of magnetics. Magnetics becomes an important focus as you are walking into the next phase of your ascension timeline. So we want to back up for a moment and speak to where you currently stand, where you currently reside as a human collective. And many of you are realizing that there have been important planetary shifts that have aligned with your Earth being in the recent months. We want to especially focus on the lunar energies, knowing that they've come in alignment with your record. That the way in which karma is operating here is beginning to change, and this has been discussed previously in many transmissions. But we wish to build on that discussion so that you better understand karma as it is something that you are relating to in your singular experience, as well as how it affects the collective experience in relationship to magnetics. So as we go into your structure, we must first explain space and time. Many of you operate here in a density in which you believe that time is linear and that time holds information. You look back at your history, at your childhood, for example, and you have memories that you can categorize in relationship to your linear age. And although this is helpful for you here on the planet to help organize your thoughts, we wish to go deeper than linear time to help you understand its relationship to space. Because space in itself is existent to your frequency. In other words, the only reason that space exists is because it is formed. The only reason that there is space within you or that you are equal to space is because you emanate and vibrate in a connection to collective energies or source. That space emanates through and of source. So when you're looking at the universe or looking into your galactic star systems and understanding space, it has a very different definition than what we describe it as. You are physical form creating space and time. You think that you arrived here in form and that time is something that was given to you. But in reality, you are creating time, both in singular form and as a collective. And that time is equal to the space, which is the material you are creating. When we look at space and time, we want to abolish any record that you have in relationship to space and time. Not because we want you to lose your memory or lose the perception of who you are. That could never happen, especially in this incarnation, because your imprint is what makes up those memories. You're made of material. The skin, the bone, the flesh, the organs, that memory lies within that material. And this is why many of you associate physical experiences within the body in some way with difficulty. For example, when you are coming to resolve pain or something has arisen within the physical body that might be painful, know that it is in relationship to time and space. There is something within you at the physical level that holds a memory. And even if that memory isn't recognizable in the moment by the physical mind, it has meaning. It holds waveform, and it is magnetic. So at the soul level, many of you have been working at the karmic timelines. And those karmic timelines, we know, are often tied to space, which can come in the form of memory, both in this incarnation and in past incarnations. Many of your healers have been focused in this energy as far as the detail. What exactly happened to you in this life? Or what exactly happened to you in another incarnation that is bringing this karmic information, this vibration to the surface, which is creating space and time, meaning it's creating an experience in the physical body. But you see, you're moving into a new timeline. And that new timeline makes available to you a new structure. And that structure doesn't operate in linear time. It operates beyond linear time because the magnetics here are now different. So let's go into the conversation of magnetics. You have learned through many of your teachers that you are magnetic beings. And to the likeness of you, another is drawn. Or to a vibration that is like to you, an experience is drawn. And in your singular form, this is how you have operated. And when we talk about structure, let's ground this into your physical body for a moment. If you are to envision the physical body as a book, and that book holds every energetic experience you have ever had, written right onto the skin, you would be able to see exactly the story of who you are. And that story as a magnet attracting the experience, which is the story of your life. But as we move into this new dimension that many of you have asked for, that many of you have placed your intention on, these stories, these words written on the physical body now hold new amplification of magnetics. In other words, you are now entangled with the collective experience in a way that you must come to terms with it. So where these healers have been working at the level of the soul karma, the level of the soul density, we must now understand that that soul density, that soul karma has always in some way come from a connection to the collective. And we have talked about this much in past transmissions as well. That your cosmic history, your history here on the planet, is coming through your own perception in physical form. We know this is difficult for many of you to accept because you think that you are creating from nothing. You are creating from a 0-point field, and that 0-point field is definitely something that you are available to and connected with. But your material structure, your body, it holds everything in relationship to information that the human collective has been through on this earth. Why? Because you had to be connected to that in some way in order to step into this new dimension. The fifth dimension that is the platform you are now upon is something that operates differently. And everything about you must change in order to operate within it. So back to this physical body and magnetics. As Mother Earth has raised her frequency, these magnetics have amplified your own. And now, as you are attracting an experience here, the space and time that you operate in has new meaning because you've become aware that that time and space is not operating in a beginning or end. It is not singular to this incarnation. It flows on and on and on. And it holds a connection beyond this earth. So the healing of the self now becomes the ability to raise your magnetics to a new field of frequency, to accept that all of the material that you have that you're working with is in some way relatable to the things that you see in the collective. And it becomes easier to heal them in some respects. The energies of the collective, the experiences that you are seeing take place, whether they be forms or pockets of consciousness related to disease or war or your government. These are all areas of consciousness that are equal to your own singular experience. So what we're asking you to do is change your perception or awareness within your day-to-day life. Everything that you are doing in some way is amplifying the collective experience or having a direct effect on your own singular healing. Because these magnetics at the crystalline base have been amplified in a way that allows you to now believe that your energy has always been the catalyst for every experience here that you have seen, connected to, and chosen. It is a two-way flow of information. So all of you are here in this moment to raise the ability to heal yourselves through the collective. And this becomes a focus at the level of the heart. And we come today to share some information about heart-centered frequencies and magnetics. And many of you are familiar with the way in which the heart frequencies work. The heart is equal to the brain that you relate to in this human form, in this human body. And we know that your health classes, your schoolings do not reflect this teaching. But it in fact is true, because the heart is a magnetic organism. It fires at the level of frequency. And beyond your intention and beyond your knowing, it has always been connecting in this way. But your consciousness, your acceptance of this heart center being the new level of magnetics for your path in this life enables you to let go of some of these timelines that are no longer serving you and step into a platform where manifestation becomes easier. The rhythms of the heart center have been amplified through the grid lines of Mother Earth. And many of you have been feeling this difficulty in the physical body. Many of you have been feeling exhausted, or it's been difficult to find balance or harmony. Some of you have been suffering in the physical form with sleep patterns or interruptions of those sleep patterns. The reason for this is because the magnetics have been amplified within Sophia. And those magnetics have a direct effect on the way your heart chakra operates. And those of you who are extremely empathic, those of you who come with a clarity of your frequency as crystals, undisturbed, are most certainly feeling the amplified effects of these lunar cycles that we've been speaking of. The lunar cycles that are bringing the density to the surface. The lunar cycles that are allowing you to step into the higher self, which is a more collectively based energy, and leave behind some of these forms of space and material that you've created that no longer serve you. So let's discuss moving forward and finding balance and how this is applicable in this very moment. Forming structure. What does this mean? And we'll take you back to the physical body. The physical body is a structure. It's a structure that you have the free will and the sovereignty and the creative energy to make your own. And you have. You've chosen it and you have created it with everything that you have interacted with in this life. Your family members, your friendships, your partnerships, the way that you've chosen to create, the way that you've chosen not to create, and everything that you have accepted as a part of your collective experience is equal to your physical form. And this is a structure. This relates to magnetics in one of two ways. Magnetically, you are more tied to that material now than ever before. And this has been a difficult adjustment. This is going back to the message we just brought forward about the physical body. You can see where a lower vibrational consciousness has raised the bar on you, knowing that your attention must go to lower forms of connective consciousness so that it stays in singularity. But your magnetics are not really allowing many of you to stay there, are they? They're allowing you to think differently, to create differently, to want and desire differently. And what is a desire? I'm going to break this down for you. A desire is not equal to lack. In other words, because you are lacking financial abundance, you desire more. There's a difference between a desire and lack. A desire is something that is equal to your truth. It is something that is already within you. And when you connect to that desire, the magnetics within the heart chakra amplify in a way that the material that you create must be harmonious. You came with that desire. It is the imprint. It is the intention that you so chose when you manifested into physical form. So our first advice for you to navigate this time is to better understand what it is that you desire, using the emotional body as a tool to feel into that space. Because any desire that is equal to a lower vibrational emotion isn't really a desire, is it? Any desire that you have that is bringing you to harmony, excitement, to love, anchors a new form of magnetics now that allows you to manifest into this collective space, not only for yourself, but for others. Beyond that, the way that the heart chakra has been a part of your experience here has been through communication. You've been communicating with other beings through this center, always matching frequencies and either raising or lowering your vibration based on the energetic form. Well, now the ability that you have is to use this heart chakra in response to vibration with a new form of awareness. So we ask you to become very deliberate in the way that you choose to place intention within the collective, the way in which you choose to interact with others, because those arguments that you had with the family members, those become amplified through this new magnetic. Those arguments that you are having in the collective, perhaps over your government officials and your elections. At the level of the heart chakra, those are amplifying as well. And that effect goes beyond just your planet, because any energy that is expansive goes into the collective grid that facilitates energies between your planet and other forms of consciousness. So that responsibility now, my friends, becomes something that you cannot ignore. And we want to give you a practice for helping to understand this new magnetic field and this new structure and how to build it equal to the physical body. And the reason we focus on the physical body is we know that many of you are having challenges in this time with that material. The structure in itself is energetic. It is crystalline. It goes beyond your physical body. It goes into all of these experiences that you've had, your past, present, and future, your intentions, the way that the universe and the planet are calling you to move, to change and to grow with what the human collective is needing in its current ascension timeline. All of these things are a part. But in this moment, as the Pleiadian Collective comes in, we are going to give you a meditation for finding harmony within this magnetic center and helping you to amplify it and use it in your day-to-day experience in a way that it anchors the truth and the desire that you have within and enables you to build on that new form, new space, new structure, beyond time, and even beyond the emotional body. And we know this gets tricky because the emotional body is always involved in some way in your vibration. But you see, when you harness the amplification of this magnetic form in the heart chakra, what it's doing is it's amplifying your crystalline form. And you see, there's so much that exists outside of you that you've always been a part of. But now, as you walk into the next month, you have the ability to access this beautiful information and make it your own. So as you breathe with us and we ask for palms up, and you can make your back very straight, allowing the spine to come into an alignment that is harmonious with the heart and with the breath. We ask you to choose a very slow and rhythmic breath through the nose and out into the mouth, opening that heart chakra with each breath, placing your awareness there, seeing that it amplifies into the universe, beyond your form, beyond your aura, beyond the space. And we feel in this room all of the guides, teachers, and masters that we are welcoming in this very moment. Those that are here to assist us in singular form, those that are here to assist the collective consciousness. And we thank them for entering into this transmission and into this beautiful space we are creating together. And with each breath in, we ask you to feel the illumination of that heart center, opening it beyond space, opening it beyond time, and seeing a beautiful bright light that emanates through. That light is equal to peace. It's equal to love. And in this moment, as the Atlanteans come in to assist us, we feel the omnipresence with the universe, letting go of the physical body, letting go of the shape and the form. As you work into the field of the lower chakras, let go of all tension, let go of the feeling of the pulse of your body, let go of any pain or resistance, moving up through the center, through the sacral, through the solar plexus, letting go of the definition between the skin and the air, the space of the universe and the space of your being, recognizing that it all flows as one. As we work up into the crown, letting go of all tension that resides in the head, around the ears, the base of the neck, and the shoulders, inviting in the higher self, releasing all structure and form, knowing that it flows freely with the universe and all beings that are present. And in this moment, we place your awareness back on the heart center, feeling it flow, feeling it open, knowing that in this moment, you are in a center space, a space of source, a space of peace, where all potential resides, and where the physical body is manifested anew. And through your intention in this moment, you bring in all information that is needed. Your record is forever modified and changed because you now equal it to the human collective, knowing that your singular experience is the basis for all healing on the planet. And as the Pleiadians step in to do an activation, they're helping us to understand how that structure must be reformed. So what you may realize as you step out of this meditation is that in your day-to-day life, there are things that are being rearranged. There are timelines that no longer serve you. And the magnetics of your field, the crystalline energy that you have within, has the ability to bring in the information that it needs. That there's no reason to get intertwined and entangled in those situations, because The heart energy is now the telepathic source. It connects your higher self to the oversoul, to the one source, to God. And that this is who you are. This is what you are made up of. As you practice this omnipresence, what you will be doing is practicing the magnetic structure in its fullest form, practicing the new crystalline availability and telepathic connections that you have. And when you find this space, we're going to ask everyone to just take a moment and envision that new structure, that new time-space reality. It can be the physical body. It can be your divine truth. It can show up as a desire that is aligned with you. We allow that to come through you in this moment as we all hold the space for healing. And so it is. We've been very pleased to bring this forward for you today and are pleased to take questions.
First question. Does the universe and our God send us signs or clues or messages to help guide us? And if so, how can we become more aware so we can benefit from this help?
The Pleiadian Collective is pleased to answer this question. So we want to make it very clear that the signs that you are seeing are coming from within you. And we have just discussed the theme today, which is your magnetics. You are magnetic beings. So when you are aligned with harmony and you are aligned with your truth, these are the synchronicities, these are the signs that come through. And yes, you can equate them to your guides. We know that many of you are asking your guides for these signs. And know that in the intention, in the asking, there is always the receiving. But many of you say, well, I have asked, and I am not seeing. Why is it that I am not seeing these signs? In order to see, you have to be vibrationally aligned with the result. So back to the previous message about desire. When there is a desire, that desire is not equal to lack. So when you are asking for a sign, and perhaps it has something to do with a decision that you are here to make in the collective or in regards to your singular experience. Ask the question, invite your guides in, and be intentional in what you wish to see. But then remain in neutrality and be very aware of the way that you're vibrating. Because you see, all answers come from within. And when there is a sign, when there is a synchronicity, it is because your guides have led you not through their intention, but through your own intention and through your own magnetics to find the answer that was exactly needed in that moment. And when you open yourselves to the understanding that there are infinite possibilities, infinite timeline potentials that are running within your frequency, you can begin to understand the lesson that we are bringing through from a higher perspective, because it goes beyond the communication. It goes beyond the concrete signs and the physical and the synchronicities. When you are operating at a higher level and you are asking and you are receiving, it is coming from within. The magnetics become amplified through your crystalline form to equal what you need to support this structure that you are building. So when you are seeing these signs and these synchronicities, know that they are divinely connected with God, but God is equal to you. So the more that you wish to see them, the more that you wish to experience them in your physical reality, the more you must hold the frequency that is equal to God, and that they come from within and emanate from that space.
How can I realize my abilities as a light worker?
The council is stepping in for this question. We are the Council of Light, and we are pleased to come into this transmission to assist in this time that the intention of light workers is fulfilled, because we first want to explain the light worker term that many of you are understanding as a part of your experience. You have all come as light. You have all come for light. But what is that light? And what is the meaning of your incarnation here? You have all in some way come to be a part of the harmony of the earth experience. Knowing that the divine record of the earth experience was going to contain an ability, an experience for you to raise your consciousness and raise the ability to exist in other dimensions with a new frequency, taking all information with you for the betterment of yourself and many others. But many of you struggle, we see, with this term. Many of you struggle with connecting to that inner light worker within. So we want to break it down as something very simple for you to understand and connect with. You have a vibrational record, and many of you emanate in a very different dimension, meaning that you've all illuminated various degrees of DNA. And in that DNA, there is information for you. And you connect with some various forms of consciousness with that illumination of DNA. But regardless of all of that, you came for the human experience with greater knowledge. And this vibrational record holds an intention that you came with. That intention is not as specific as you all make it. And this is where many of you become frustrated and are in resistance, because you feel as if there is one way in which this must emerge, and it is a mystery that you must uncover. But you see, if you remember that it is vibrational and it is equal to divine source, finding the divinity within you will always lead you to this intention, this light that you are, the way that you wish to imprint information in the collective consciousness. The things that bring you to the most joy, the things that excite you, the things that are creative within you, that express something that is true and sovereign, hold meaning. But these are the very things that you suppress from yourself on a day-to-day basis, because you have responsibilities outside of yourself, either to family or a job. And we understand there is a structure around you that has been put in place that is societally creating something that is not equal to you. But those that are in frustration, those that are in the dark about this path of light, must understand that it starts within you. And so the more that you invest within your true source, the more that light is brought to the surface, the more those answers become clear. And there are light workers who are here with very incredible, unique, and beautiful forms of healing to offer the earth. There are some of you that are here to anchor energies into Mother Gaia just through your experience here. There are some of you that are bringing divine messages through you. There are some that are meant to work with specific collectives of either adults or children. But regardless, the more that you find that space of harmony and self-love, that self-love is the expression that is of light. We often like to bring in very grounded examples, and we'd like to bring in the example of painting quite often, because we know this is a creative expression. And sometimes people feel as if there is no result in that creative expression. You know, they are painting for their own self-experience. And if this is something that you desire, something that you love, something that brings you to joy or happiness or peace in a moment, how can that not create an impact on the collective consciousness, regardless of who sees it, regardless of who connects with it, regardless of your judgment of it after the fact? Because in that present moment, if an act of expression was bringing you to a higher fulfillment, it was emanating into the collective consciousness and having an effect. We want to bring this back to magnetics, and that has been the discussion today. The amplification of magnetics from the heart. Every action that you pursue is now amplified bigger through your crystalline core. So choose them well. It is not a selfish act to find harmony within in the self, because that is the place in which your divine record emanates, and that is the place in which it is found. So to answer quite simply, we would say, bring yourself to love, peace, and harmony within your own life. Allow yourself the space to grow and to create. And that is the energy that is equal to that divine imprint.
A number of very prominent spiritual teachers have been forecasting World War III. And the question is, would World War III, will it happen, and can we prevent it? And finally, how do we interpret the discrepancy between different spiritual teachers who some are forecasting World War III and some who are forecasting a very peaceful future?
Yes, the Pleiadian Collective is pleased to come into this transmission, and we are very pleased to speak to this topic because it is very much in alignment with the message that came through earlier. Infinite potentials, yes, they exist within you. And what exactly does that mean? At the soul level, we brought through the message that you are working with space and time and creating it through your connection to the collective. What does that mean? That means that history is repeating itself for you. And it must, because this structure that you are in, if you make it equal to your physical being or beyond energetically, it has a beginning. And that structure holds everything that has happened here within the collective. So this World War III that you speak of, we know that there have been previous world wars that have happened here. So that history, that potential of a World War III must exist within the fabric of the collective, because it's happened here before. But before you vibrate in fear around that potential, what we want you to understand is that you came as a creator. You came with free will, and you came connected to divine source. You are interconnected through the heart chakra with a new form of magnetics in this very moment to amplify everything that is your intention. So the more that you connect to consciousness that is related to this history in some form or another, the more you are growing that consciousness. Now remember the previous message that came in before the question. Regardless of whether you are in judgment for or against this World War III, the more that you bring it into your awareness and work at it as a tool of your energy, you are growing it as a potential timeline within your own structure as well as the structure of the collective. In other words, if you are preparing for this World War III because you feel as if your safety is in jeopardy, you are growing that consciousness. If you are accepting that this World War III is a potential outcome, and you've resided yourself to the fact that it will occur, you are growing that potential consciousness. And magnetically, in some way, you are amplifying its potential to exist. If you are against, in some way, this idea of a World War III taking place, so you are speaking out against it in an angry tone, you are growing that consciousness that exists for World War III. How do you not grow that consciousness? How do you create something different? You invest your energy in growing a collective consciousness that you wish to experience here. And just like the previous question about how is it that we find that light worker within, how do we find heaven on earth here within? It is flowing through us. In that timeline of World War III that comes from many timelines of world wars that have taken place previously, it has the dimension of something that is equal to a lower consciousness. But you are all vibrating above that consciousness as light workers. So we ask you now, why would you choose it? If you are in fear of those spiritual teachers that you speak of, talking about this outcome, how are you not honoring the God or the Master or the Creator within? How are you allowing something outside of yourself to be the creator? This is a different form of energy that you almost embody. So finding that light worker within, that master within, and then using that energy, that magnetism, that frequency to create something within your singular reality that grows a new consciousness is the way to magnetize a different potential. So do we feel that this potential exists? Yes. Do we feel that this potential can be shifted into a higher dimension? Meaning, it will not take place in the way that it has been predicted. Yes, we do. The reason for that is you are now supported by Mother Earth in a way that you never have been before. And the way that she's amplified her frequency in this new crystalline grid is bringing many higher dimensional beings in to support you. There's been a massive clearing of karma here at the cellular level. And many of you have been going through the transition that is imminent because of that clearing. What this has done is it has allowed you to be more powerful creators in your singular form than what you ever have been before. What that means is it does not take many who are vibrating in alignment with Source to create a potential outcome in the collective that is in harmony, that is that heaven on earth, that changes that potential timeline of World War III into something different. And that is the integration of the information there. Yes, these wars have happened, and yes, there have been many disparities that have happened because of them within the human collective. And the opportunity becomes integrating those experiences in a way that they are now served differently, that we are learning from our mistakes. Not looking at the details of what happened there, but looking at the way we created those details through our own being. So how is it that you decide the teachers, the masters that you wish to follow? We want to go back to this beautiful amplification of your crystalline energy and magnetics, because you are interconnecting more telepathically than ever before. Many of you are experiencing this in dream state. Your dreams have become quite amplified. You are traveling more in your dreams. You are receiving communication from your guides, teachers, and masters, regardless of whether you are remembering it upon your waking hours. In this same way, this telepathic exchange takes place. The frequencies of the emotional body and the physical body were given to you as a divine compass of truth. So if there is a teacher who is preaching something fearful, we ask you to look within and notice your reaction. When the body goes into a frequency of fear, there is a distinct rhythm that takes place. And that rhythm is not equal to Source. In fact, that rhythm creates chaos within the physical body, taking it back into its singularity and lessening its power. So if you are following a master or a teacher who is now not making you feel as if you are a powerful being and in control of your own experience, notice, perhaps, where you must begin accepting your own information and your own truths beyond that master teacher. Because all of the great masters all knew one secret, and that secret is now shared with you. That regardless of physical form, you hold within you a divine right. And that divine right, through your free will, is to create to your choosing the experience that you wish to have. And that you have been given all of the tools to navigate through this earth experience in order to find that beautiful heaven on earth. And now more than ever, if you become very deliberate creators, it will manifest. And this is what we see, because we look at all potentials as well. And we match vibrations of potentials. And we know that you see much coming through the collective that is not to your liking, especially in this very moment. When karma releases through any being, there will be difficult circumstances. There will be emotions. But it's not about the difficult circumstances. It's about how you choose to adapt, to respond, to entangle your energy in those difficult circumstances. That becomes the catalyst for their healing. So we see harmony here. We believe that the collective is about to go through a very major transition. And we know you have been through many lately. But karma is now coming through the collective. You were in a time in which you had to be focused at the soul level. And that time is shifting, because in the fifth dimension, there is a new collective energy that forms you as a one in response to the law of karma. So become very careful about how you choose to interact with that karma. Healing it has nothing to do with physical action, and everything to do with your vibrational response.
Is there a being who was referred to as Krishna in ancient Indian scriptures who was a very highly consciousness being who once appeared on Earth?
Yes, I'm connecting with Krishna in this moment. And Krishna is equal to Source. We first will say we are a collective consciousness that emanates as the Krishna. Krishna as Source God is what we wish to explain, and the being that was Krishna manifested into physical form. That physical form came forward during various times on your planet to assist both at the soul level as well as with integrations that the human consciousness was making in response to many beings that were evaluating the collective consciousness. In other words, there were vibrational decisions that were being made as a one, but we're not aware that they were being made at the level of the singular soul. The Krishna comes in as a being because there was a support that was needed on the planet in physical form. And that physical form is something that has changed over many millenniums of time. In other words, there are many beings that come forward here upon your physical space that are coming as a form of light consciousness and manifesting into some type of human or hybrid that must embody here in order to teach. So Krishna is a being that did embody the earth, both in human form as well as in the form of interdimensional DNA. And that interdimensional DNA has a direct connection to many of the master energies in the 12th dimension. That Krishna being was a consciousness that connected to other gods and other beings that were providing support to the planet, especially in regards to the technology of the structure in relationship to the earth and interdimensional travel, transition between lifetimes, and how the soul would return in response to its decisions, its free will in the moment that was being made. There are many teachings of the Krishna that are embodied in the human consciousness. In other words, this message today has been about you being a consciousness and that form of consciousness being a part of you. So we ask you to understand that the Krishna consciousness is within all of you, and it can be found as well and amplified within you. We call it the connection to Source or God, in which all beings are able to review from the higher self the timeline that they are in and relate it to the soul's lesson, the soul's journey in the interconnection with all of their guides, teachers, and masters to help embody a new earth, a new frequency that brings the interdimensional light and consciousness to your planet. And that was the intention.
In Indian scriptures, it refers to a grand cycle of time referred to as the yugas, and there's some disagreement as to whether or not we are currently in the Kali Yuga, which is an age of darkness, which supposedly began upon the departure of Krishna from physical form. And some believe that we are about to leave the Kali Yuga cycle that's about 24,000 years old. And 12,000 years ago at the half cycle, we experienced some very dramatic earth changes and a flood and a variety of other things that geologists are now discovering. First of all, are we currently in the Kali Yuga? Are we leaving the Kali Yuga? And will that cycle that occurred 12,500 years ago manifest differently at this time?
Yeah, so this is the Krishna consciousness, and we're here to explain these cycles in depth because, yes, there are earth cycles, and these cycles are equal to your divine record. So we first want to explain that the Mother Earth being, the Sophia being, is a divine energy that also holds a record. And that record is intentional. In other words, it was a record that the Earth being decided to be formed with that revolves around the planets and heavenly bodies. So there are vibrational triggers of the Mother Earth record, just as there are vibrational triggers of your own record. You as a human being, you come with free will. In other words, your record, although it is vibrational, you create it in response to your free will and your consciousness. So that record, although it has many aspects that are triggered by time and space, can be modified by you. It can be changed by you, by your intention, and it can be created by you differently than what perhaps the vibrational intent was at the moment. And you see, this happens as well with the earth. And we know that there are many tools that you are using that are ancient tools to help understand these cycles of time and these cycles of karma and energy. And what we've come to understand is that there are many factors that affect these divine energies or records beyond what we originally thought. You see, as a universal being, you must consider that as the consciousness of other races are evolving, there is an exchange of information. And that exchange of information can be absorbed as a part of the record, meaning when your consciousness is raised here as an earth being, the record here is being interpreted differently by you. And this has been noticed on your planet in both lags of time as well as speeding up of time. In other words, the way in which the human beings that have connected to the earth have accepted and raised their consciousness has had a direct effect on the way the ascension timeline in the divine record of earth has manifested. You have, in many ways, been in the driver's seat of the way the experiences on your planet have been taking place. It is a divine mix, not only of the human forms that are here, as well as the non-human forms that are here assisting. But this period of darkness we want to speak of in particular, because the Great Flood, in essence, although it happened as a part of your record, was also something that took place as a part of the consciousness of the human collective and the intention of that consciousness. So this clearing that took place, this great flood that took place on your planet, there was a magnetic response to where the human collective was in the moment with their one vibration. And the reason for this was that there were many things that were being created that were not to the liking of other beings. In other words, there was much destruction taking place, and many of the technologies that were coming forward were having the potential to be used in ways that were not harmonious with the universe. You forget that every experience that you have here on the earth in some way affects other beings, and that we are all connected through one web of consciousness we call the universal time grid. And that universal time grid must be held in integrity so that all beings are in alignment with truth and are existing in a form that is of the highest intent. So there are manipulations of this record. In other words, there are adjustments that are made within your consciousness to assist the human beings that are here to create differently through that record. And the record in itself responds to the consciousness that is present. So what has happened here as your consciousness is raised is that the potentials here have also changed. This period of darkness that you speak of, we would say, is not in alignment with what we believe is coming for you in relationship to the vibrations here. What we see prominently taking place is a purging of density and karma at the level of the collective that is enabling you to rebirth aspects of your human reality. So you can look at this as a period of darkness. In other words, there will be much karma coming through the collective, and this karma will be difficult. Or you can choose to look at this as an opportunity in which many of your structures will begin to fail because they must be rebirthed, and this is the way it works. Your structure cannot be modified unless there is something that is disassembled to assemble it differently. And this is what happened with your great flood. There was, in a moment's notice, a structural change that took place here on the earth to build something new. But what we see this great flood equal to is pockets of consciousness on your planet. In other words, there will be great floods taking place, rebirths taking place in areas of collective consciousness on your planet, such as your forms of government, your forms of schooling, your financial structure, your corporations, your medical institutions. All of these areas of consciousness in some way are going to experience a period of darkness, in which is equal to the history of the Great Flood, because they must be wiped clean, they must be renewed, and that will not be an easy process. But on the other side of that, we see great light. So what we believe is you are entering a period or time of heaven on earth. But any new beginnings must start with the restructuring of what previously lied before. And the intentions of those things come into the spotlight, in other words, because if they are not in harmonious intention with the betterment of humanity in some way, vibrationally and magnetically, they cannot any longer exist. And it becomes the choice of the human consciousness to accept whether they are in this cycle of darkness or this cycle of light. And we see this as being the great divide between the third and the fifth dimensions. Because those that choose to see the rebirth and the possibility that lies on the other side of this karmic release in various areas on your planet will experience the heaven on earth at this very moment. But those who are tied to the material existence and these pockets of consciousness that are going to undergo these floods, we will call them, will experience a period of darkness, and it becomes your choice.
Can you offer any advice on making a choice in the upcoming election when neither candidate is attractive?
The Pleiadian Collective steps in to address this question. We are pleased to speak about this political experience that you are having in relationship to your government structures. And again, we want to relate it to vibration and magnetism and consciousness, because your political race in itself is a form of consciousness. And we know that you have 2 candidates, or maybe more, that you are considering. And all of these candidates exist in one form of consciousness. So many of you are beginning to make a choice between one form of consciousness or another. And back to the original message, how you choose to interact with that consciousness is how it becomes a part of you. This political race that sits in front of you, it is your history coming up in front of your eyes. It is not just your governmental or political history. We ask that you take note when there are major forms of consciousness that are commanding your attention. In some way, they are quantumly entangled with karma. So we ask you to pick out the various parts of this consciousness and see how in some way it is representative of your planet's transition. All of the dichotomies that take place there between the various forms of consciousness, the archetypal patterns, the mirrors to the self. What we see most prominently is that this consciousness has been formed to keep you singular. In the same way that the World War III predictions are keeping you in fear and taking your power outside of you, this form of collective consciousness is doing the same. You see, energy only has two forms. It is either in love or it is in fear. So those that are becoming quantumly entangled with that energy are not only creating it bigger as a consciousness, they are becoming a part of it. So if you are trying to, in your mind, justify which candidate you should vote for, this is the best advice that we have for you. And we go back to the explanation of desire. Where is the desire in your action? Because desire is equal to truth. And many of you are drawn to make a decision, drawn to action, because it is the lesser of two evils. Or in some way there is fear. If one candidate is voted in or another candidate is voted in, then something is going to go very wrong. So out of fear, I must cast my vote. Well, what we say is, any action that is taken from a place of fear is only equal to that same vibration emanating out to the universe and coming back to you. So if you choose to take an action, take it from desire, meaning there is something in that candidate that is fulfilling within you an excitement, a desire, a peace. And if there is not, many would say, well, then I must vote for something or somebody. But look again at the way you are entangled within their consciousness. What we believe is any result in your political race is an energetic result. That physical action is in no way served unless there is an intention behind it. An intention goes beyond one vote, you see. In other words, some of you who may be very upset about a very specific candidate and being very vocal about that specific candidate, through your intention are fueling that candidate being the winner. Because the energy there is equal to the reaction or the result. And that might be a result that you do not wish to see. What we see most prominently taking place in your collective is that new forms of government are going to begin to emerge, especially in the next 5 years. These forms of government are going to become more collective because you are becoming more collectively based. The current political structure on your planet is a very singularly based energy that resides in a third dimensional connection. And it can no longer exist if the human consciousness is choosing a different dimension. So choose very carefully how you want to interact with that collective. But regardless, your intention outside of that energy fuels what's coming next. And the candidate has already been chosen because you've already placed your intention and your desire as a collective into the result. So your action, it really has the effect on you more than it does the result of this election. Because if you choose to take action with something that you're not in alignment with, you're in resistance. And in some way that resistance must manifest, and that becomes material. And that material becomes existence, and that existence becomes experience, and that experience becomes a timeline. So the way to operate through this and maneuver through this is to always work at the level of your intention. And be very clear on your desire. And if you are, and you are voting for a candidate, that is a beautiful way to work with frequency, energy, and material. But if you are not, evaluate and step back before you take action to make sure you are completely aligned with what you are doing energetically to yourself and to others.
How do you heal energetic blockages in the right side of the body that are causing physical problems?
I get Archangel Raphael stepping in for this question. When there are energetic differences in the body, it is calling your attention to balance and harmony. So often what we see is that there are pockets of consciousness that exist within you at the physical level. Oftentimes you call this disease or pain. And the location of that disease or pain is often giving you information about something that you must understand about your soul's experience, especially if it is very prominently situated in a weighted direction, one or the other. And we see this most often with people with pain, because pain in itself is an alerting of your structure to something that you are in resistance of. Often there is information that is blocked, or you are blocking something from experience in your world. The left and the right are often relatable to the way that we give and receive. So what we can tell you is the left side is very prominent of blocking information coming in, where the right side can be very prominent of blocking information that is going out. In other words, there's something that you are meant to say, there's something you're meant to give, there's something you're meant to transfer here into the collective or into your singular experience that you are holding back on. Or perhaps on the left side, there's something that is meant to be understood by you. There's a message that you are meant to understand that you are not receiving. So when you look at these forms of consciousness in the body and their location, of course we know there are other layers that you must look at, and everything must be considered in physical and non-physical form. You have to begin to go into the physical body and communicate with it at the level of consciousness. And we encourage all of you to do this because we believe it's very important that you communicate with the physical body in harmony. Many of you do not realize every day the way in which you communicate with the body that is in dissent of your own truth and creating these levels of consciousness far larger than what they need to be created. So find the space of neutrality in the moment, meaning you surrender to what is and you are not in resistance of the physical body in its present state. Going into that space and communicating with the body to help it understand what you need from it and what it needs from you. But also, we would say, if you are imbalanced, finding activities energetically that create that balance between the structure. In some way, your body is pulling you in a direction. And when that direction becomes balanced, we come into more information. Specifically for this question, we would relate to forms of craniosacral patterns or rhythms being a very valuable tool for the human body. Beyond that, understanding that your neurology and your heart chakra, the way that you vibrate, has a very important part in the way that you are balanced energetically. And that emotionally, there can be vibrations that are being held within the body in pockets of consciousness that are here to be released. So working at the level of the soul, delving deep in with your guides or in some form of hypnosis or deeper trance to work with that center is very much advised.
Are there locations on the planet that best assist or amplify us with our energy or our power?
I get the ancients coming in for this. We want to speak of the portals within your Earth because we do feel it's very important that you have an understanding of these very ancient structures, not only because they exist on your planet and can be used by you, but also because you are equal to them. There are many ancient sites, as you are aware, and we often equate these to ancient temples and ancient pyramids. But beyond that, there are portals of energy within your Earth that exist, some which are not even recognized or known as of yet here within your planet. But what these structures hold for you, most simply, is the telepathic ability to activate your structure. They have the ability to take you into the original 12-strand DNA form that you were created in the likeness of. So when you are visiting some of these sites, these ancient temples, the information that resides there is often activated in alignment with planetary bodies or heavenly bodies. And there are various times within your record that these planetary bodies align with these ancient sites. You do not even have to be in physical form at these energetic sites during these times of alignment to receive the benefit. In other words, your Mother Earth amplifies through her being the alignments of the Earth with these divine spaces. But those who are drawn to travel to these divine spaces are forever changed. The reason that they hold energy in the way that they do is that they were formed in connection with many interdimensional beings. And there was a very beneficial source energy that was found that was amplified through the design of a structure. And that design of that structure is equal to what you find within your physical body. Many of you can look at the ancient sites and you can map the exact formations and sacred geometric patterns of the human body to these structures. The reason for that is because they were giving you the clues, the cues, as to what was available for you energetically as you transcended your physical form. In addition to that, what we want to say is that these ancient sites allow for higher dimensional beings to intercommunicate both with the Earth as well as human form and enter your Earth plane in both hybrid and energetic form, and that there is telepathic exchange that takes place at various times within these structures to not only assist and make adjustments within your record, similarly to the question that was brought forward about this time of darkness. In other words, the higher dimensional beings are able to access these ancient structures and raise consciousness, raise energy at various times in which they see it would be beneficial to the collective. It becomes the divine compass that is equal to the universe. You have this divine compass within you that is equal to your singular structure. We would like to say that your planet is about to undergo a very prominent time of disclosure. And many of you have interpreted this time of disclosure as being the presence of beings, interdimensional beings upon your planet. And we do believe that that goes hand in hand with what we see as well. But in addition to that, what we make disclosure to be is the amplification of communication. Intergalactic communication between your structure, your form, and the outer universe. So these pyramidal structures, they hold information for you to activate yourselves, to begin to find harmony and balance with that communication. And in this moment, as they have been activated by recent solar alignments, you've been able to raise your energy to communicate as well. So we ask you to recognize that communication and honor it as it will begin to expand for you over the coming years.
If this current political season is born of fear, is the possible path of Planet X born of love to overthrow the fear to cause unity and love?
There are many paths we want to make you aware of, and this is the council stepping in. So when you speak of a one path, we must interrupt you because this planetary energy that you speak of, it is a potential, and that potential is already existing within your aura of Mother Earth. In other words, the energy, the frequency that you speak of is already present here. But regardless of the frequency, energy, or potentials that exist here, what you must understand is you hold a responsibility to connect yourselves to them. In other words, there are no beings that would come into this earth plane and override your free will. But the presence of this heavenly body, this energy, is within your auric field in order for you to have a potential timeline that exists, which is an opportunity for you to connect with. So this space of darkness, let's go into that analogy with the third and the fifth dimension, and let's explain it a little differently. Those in the third dimension, those that have not awakened to their consciousness, those who have not healed many of their, or we will say transcended past many of their codes, in other words, they have also been reorganized. All of you have. This new crystalline grid or crystalline energy that exists within Mother Gaia, it has had a similar effect on every human body that connects to her. You have grounded into her, and you are using this multidimensional energy to assist you in this transition. But those in the third dimension, they are using their free will to operate within their structure differently. And this is why we say that many of them will experience a period of darkness. Let us give you the physical body, for example. We have alluded to the fact that over the next 2 years, many of you will have distinct struggles arise within the physical body. And the reason for that is that you are operating differently than what you have learned, and that you must adjust to new higher dimensional frequencies and crystalline energies, and this beautiful interactive communication that's now coming in. Well, if your consciousness is rejecting that, if your free will is saying, I do not believe in this interactive communication, and I believe in singularity, in multidimensional form being material, you are not going to be able to use what is available to you. And because of that, the structure that you're operating in is not going to work for you. It is not going to be in harmony. Many of you have already experienced this. You've gone through transitions of dimension where things have dropped away, and you've not been able to hold magnetically onto things that have served you before, whether they be jobs or relationships, because they were anchored in a material-based energy. And yes, you suffered through those transitions, but knowing that through a higher consciousness, they were happening for your higher good. And that the new would come, and the new would be more spiritually aligned with who you are. You see, those that are operating in this third density, they don't have the desire, the free will, or the intention to be able to operate that way through a very difficult time on your planet. So this is why they will experience a period of darkness. It has nothing to do with what's available to them and everything to do with how they choose to accept what is available to them, how they choose to recognize through their consciousness that this new form of communication is coming in, and that they have the ability to work at a different level. And that's why we call many of you light workers, because those of you that are moving into a fifth dimensional space are here to assist those beings and help them bridge into a higher light. So yes, these planetary bodies, these heavenly bodies, these beings are here to assist, and they are already present upon your structure, your Mother Gaia Earth being. And this new crystalline grid or energetic cord that has been illuminated has been the purpose or reason for this. But your free will overrides anything and everything that takes place here. And we are honoring of that free will. And if we were to come in and operate at the level of removing your free will, as has happened before in your history, it would override everything that you have created here. And we honor that. We believe that there is much love here. We believe that there is much beauty and peace here, and the ability to bring technologies back onto this planet that are harmonious. We believe that you are expanding in a way that benefits our own expansion. So we would never override that free will. But we come to assist you. And that is why we say that there are two areas of experience, two different dimensions of experience that will take place. And there is a free will choice to move between them. And many of you are here to assist that. And we are here in assistance of all of you.
We'd like to speak with the Dolphin Matrix Collective.
Greetings.
What is the crystallization process of the DNA, and how does it affect humanity right now?
The crystallization process of the DNA is already taking place, you see, and this is why we come in harmony on your planet in this time to assist this process, because many are not aware of the amplification of their crystalline core and how that works. So let's take what crystallization means first, because it is a very difficult term for some to understand. The crystalline energy is something that has always been within you. You are made of it. You are omnipresent light, and that omnipresent light is within your core. It is within the core of Mother Gaia. But many of you have not been able to achieve the use of this energy in this incarnation. The reason for that is the density that you've arrived in. It has not allowed you the use of this crystalline energy, many of you, in the way that it was intended. So when we look at the DNA, what we realize is that there are two sets of DNA that you are operating with. You are designed in a 12-strand DNA, and there are physical manifestations of that DNA that were created in a third-dimensional energy. And there are mirror likeness strands of DNA that are crystalline in form. And those crystalline forms of DNA are able to take you into different dimensions based on their integration. So when you speak of crystallization, we call that equal to integration. And DNA equal to information. So when you are crystallizing your DNA, you are actually integrating information, meaning it becomes one with you. So your DNA holds much information that you have not been aware of. And that information has the ability to take you into higher dimensions and access new forms of healing, help you create your own timelines differently, help you heal past aspects of your record. But healing can only take place when information has been integrated, in other words, crystallized. And the reason that we come to support this in this time on the earth plane is that we have gone through a very similar transition. But we have actually made that transition differently than what you have. We emanated from crystalline form into material, human or physical types of existence, both in hybrid state as well as in dimensional state. And in the crystallization of our DNA, we were able to take that integrated information along with us and use it within our physical experience. So now we are helping you to remember how you can crystallize that information and use it as it has become available to you. Your DNA is being activated right now, and all of you are at different levels of this activation because it is a very singular process. The reason it is singular is that you are the driver of your own structure. There are many things within your universe that are assisting that crystallization of DNA and that activation of your DNA. In other words, they are bringing you to the illumination of things. They are affecting your vibrations so that you are creating differently to connect with that information. But make no mistake, your intention becomes the reason why you activate DNA in this life. It is your ascension process. It's the way in which you work at the soul level. It's the way in which you interact with your current reality from a higher perspective. So this crystallization of DNA is always taking place, but the imprints here are becoming bigger. They're becoming more prominent because the message has been brought forward that the karma is now coming through the collective, and these are very dense, thick cords of karma. So we are now able to come in and work at the crystallization of the DNA differently because the access has changed here through the aura of Mother Earth and the availability of telepathic communication. And what we're allowed to do through your intention is work at the level of the record to help you clear your karmic DNA timelines that are associated with what is coming through in the collective. And that's an integration of information. It is a learning process, and it takes place in a very short period of time. You see, crystalline light knows no time. It knows no space. It is not of material. So there can be an instantaneous change in a crystallization process. And we are assisting many in this time, many healers, many teachers who are here working in the area of the DNA and of the divine record to help heal human beings. And we are very pleased to do so.
Could you conclude the session, please?
Yes. The council comes in to conclude the session, and we've been very pleased to bring these messages through today. And we always ask that you understand that in these transmissions, you are a part. So we are very grateful that you have brought your intention to this collective space, knowing that you take away more than just the words, you take away the energy, and that energy and frequency is forever changing you from the form that you came to connect it to. In other words, please be kind with yourself as you go about your day, you go about your week, integrating the messages that have been brought through, knowing that we become one with you in that integration and that we are in great peace, love, and harmony in your existence, knowing that it is also a part of our own. Many blessings.